just pushing buttons.
I'm just
like a 7-year-old again.
It's fine. Giving her hell for no reason.
I mean, it's a great day off.
Okay. Well, we had a good fucking weekend.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It was a great weekend. Man, that was a good weekend. Except for the concert getting canceled. That was kind of shitty.
I mean, that didn't affect me, so it was all right.
Supposed to go see Breaking Benjamin and Disturbed, and we got to the parking lot.
And Sage was very disturbed.
I was very disturbed to find out the show had in fact been canceled. I don't know. The lady was like waving at me from the parking lot entrance, trying to show me through all the traffic that the parking lot was not open. And then some guy drove by really close to my truck in a Jeep, and he almost had his fucking head in my window. And as he drove by, he stuck his head in my window and goes, "Show's canceled, bro." Never saw his face. Just a loud voice in my ear.
You enjoyed it.
I thought at that moment in time that the show was in fact canceled.
No, I think you enjoyed it, and you were hoping that he was going to re-enter your truck.
It's like, come back, I have beer.
I have beer.
I have welcoming gifts if you want to come back for another one. But no, it was So did you have a good weekend?
Yeah.
For the most part.
It was a great day off.
A great couple days off. Life's a beach in your hair, dude. Trevor Wallace. Fuck, man. For the win. That's the guy.
The guy.
In case you're wondering, because you're looking at me like, I don't know what that means.
Nobody knows what you mean.
I see.
Ever. It's fine.
And then you got to come here and have a nice little nap.
Always.
Were you asleep for the whole 2 hours?
No. Like 30 minutes.
Oh, that sucks. Now I feel bad.
Yep.
Waking somebody up out of a 30-minute nap, that fucking blows.
And then you wonder why I wasn't human.
Mm-hmm. You were one-eyeing it like a drunk.
We're not going to talk about that.
I do the same thing, dude. I'm useless when I wake up. People ask me to do normal people tasks when I wake up, and I can't even breathe right. I'm like, I need you to stop talking to me. That's all I need right now.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I need a nap for my sleep, so it's fine.
Well, I decided probably recently because things have kind of, I don't want to say plateaued, but things have kind of found their way into a very form of casual conversation in the podcast. Not between you and I, but everybody. And I want more out of it. I need more to like crack. So.
As long as you don't start slapping your veins, we'll be all right.
Slapping my veins?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So I want to try to pull more out of whoever I'm talking to.
Good luck.
So I'm really sorry about this.
Good luck.
I'm hoping you'll help me here.
We'll see.
I want to know, like, I don't know. I just want to know more in depth about how you feel about certain things.
Oh, God.
There's more to you.
Are you sure?
No, not anymore. But I want, like, in my first episode, I broke down quite a bit. And it wasn't even on purpose, but I did. And there's like, I know that there's things that you're not saying, and I know that there's things that you feel that you don't say. Because we're trained mostly not to talk about it. So it's not your fault. But I want to know more. So, is there something that stands out to you? Not you, computer. Is there something that stands out to you, like, at least every day or every other day that you kind of find yourself in thought about? Even if it's a shitty thought, if it's a insecure thought, or quote unquote insecure,
I mean, for me, it just goes back to what we've talked about before of the overthinking.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I'll sit there and I'll dwell on something for like weeks at a time about, even something small that I've said that I'll just sit there and be like, I don't know if people took this the right way. And I'll sit there and think about that for weeks.
I don't know. My thing when people say overthinking, I'm like, but is it really? I don't think that's such a fair word.
for me, it's more of a, because of the fact of being bullied and stuff through school, it makes it to where like I feel like I try a lot harder to try and fit in. And so I'll sit there and legitimately like think about like, is that something that people are going to accept of what I said, or is that something like everybody's going to judge me about what I just said?
Okay.
And so I'll literally just sit there and think about that for weeks at a time until I either just get tired of thinking about it or
Forget.
or
Man, I
actually kind of get some type of closure from somebody of, from them just making a comment similar or something like that.
God, I spent so long doing shit like that, just trying to find what everybody else wants to see, and it changes through different crowds, through different people.
No, 100%.
That's the shitty fucking part, dude. Is like, and then you grow up to now you're our age, and now we're just two dudes that I can't speak for you, but I feel like I don't know who the fuck I don't feel like I have a characteristic or a personality about me.
Yeah.
I am just some dude who's like, I feel like I'm trying to appease everybody else to make sure that there's other fucking happy people. Because if I'm me, then people don't like it.
Yeah, I definitely feel the same way. I don't feel like me being me makes most people happy, so I try and be everybody else, or what everybody else wants me to be able to make them happy.
Right, yeah, I do that. See, that's that shit I'm talking about. I can only imagine how many people, probably more males than others, try to do that. Just if anything, at the core of it, just to try and feel a little bit more love from a situation.
Yeah. And I mean, I've had people reach out to me that have listened to our episodes, and pretty much one of the things that I get back as feedback is they enjoy listening, especially to the male guests, because to them it's different, because you never hear guys actually like talk about their feelings and stuff like that. So the fact that we're on here and we're just talking about it, and she's like, it's very interesting to see, because guys of like her generation, it's something that you would never think of ever happening.
Yeah, that's true.
So to her, it's very fascinating, the fact that we can just sit here and talk about it. And I do think that it will help people later on down in the road. But I don't know. You never really know.
Yeah, we don't know what this is going to result in next year, let alone 5. It's funny because on the last episode that aired, which was the fan special that we dropped, had a couple of visiting fans from different states, different places, and it was super interactive and super cool because I allowed them to ask the questions and to really dig into what we're doing here, And I think the number one question that came up in different views was the same thing you just said, was how different and how unique it is that guys, just different guests, come on here and we just air the shit out. We talk truly from the real perspective of what we're dealing with and what it feels like for us. And it was never really meant to be focused on men's mental health, so to speak, But I feel like it's a perspective, like you said, that a lot of people don't get because we usually don't fucking talk about it.
Yeah, so I think that kind of is part of that draw to this is, it may not be what the intent was, but it, at least from what I've seen, and obviously I don't see as much as you see, but it seems like that's kind of what people are drawing towards is, hearing the men's perspective.
Well, it's, I kind of have said it from the beginning, but letting this manifest its own face is kind of I'm comfortable with it. You know, it's not going to really go to too many different extremes, and it's not going to get to the level of discrimination of any kind. So I think as long as it stays healthy, which I think it's been a really big part of, and it's really been enjoyable I haven't had any negative or consequential feedback, which is good. So, but yeah, man, I think it's probably a much bigger issue than we or anybody talks about, for that matter, is how you feel like in a group of people. And I don't give a shit how, some of these guys they just want to be tough and they're just the cool guys and it doesn't fucking matter and blah blah blah. I'm like, I can really give a fuck less about that, because at some point in time, I don't give a shit who you are. Having a small bit of an emotional connection, even to random fucking people, feels good.
Oh yeah.
It feels good when you're in a genuine group and when you're in a genuine situation, and not everybody's fucking playing a part to make everybody happy.
Well, and the funny thing is, I mean, you look at it, most guys play that tough part.
Yeah.
For women. They don't do it for themselves. They don't do it for the other guys they're hanging out with. They do it to try and attract women.
I mean,
but the funny thing is like, the guys that aren't playing that part and will let their emotions show a little bit, usually the ones that have a little bit easier time with women around. I mean, the women are usually a little more drawn to them. They don't feel like, okay, this guy's just another, brain dead asshole.
Right.
I mean,
sex appeal is definitely a big part of that. But when you can truly embrace who you are, and I'm not saying like pour all your emotions out at once. Probably not the best idea.
That will go wrong also.
Probably not going to land well for you. But I mean, when you can balance the conversations and really let everything just intertwine on its own, but like you said, that's going to be the best possible outcome.
Yeah, forcing either way is going to be bad. Just be yourself.
There you go.
100%. I mean, whether you force the emotion or you force the tough guy persona, either way, it's going to be bad. But, I mean, if you just sit there and be yourself, have an actual conversation, talk about things, show a little bit of interest in both sides of the party, because people don't want to only talk about themselves, but they don't only want to hear you talk about yourself.
Right.
So,
common interest and conversation that goes with it goes a long way. I will say one thing for me personally is what I find myself having a harder time with. It might just be because I'm just a little bit older and I'm fucking kind of over all the choices that I made in the past. But I want to be who I truly am. And I find that to be very unique, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. I may not be everybody's cup of tea, and I'm good. But in doing that and trying to lead a genuine connection for a partner or for whoever, doesn't seem to be as easy. And being patient, everybody says fucking when you're truly not looking is when things will fall into place. Stuff like that. I'm like, I don't have the patience for this.
I don't have the time. I'm getting old.
I don't want to be patient no more. But I also will not force myself into another shitty situation, because I don't have to tell you or anybody else that fucking knows me personally, I've done enough of that.
Maybe one or two.
Thank you for being nice about it. But it's crazy that, back to the original thing that you said of overthinking. Just that one word. But there's the stem, The stem of it is trying to look better for everybody else.
Yeah, pretty much.
Fucking sucks, dude.
I feel like for guys, that is a lot of it. And obviously I can't speak for the women's perspective, but I know that from a male's perspective, we have a lot of pressure on us, because, I mean, in today's day and age, people like to act like they don't expect the guy to be what your traditional guy was, of where he's the sole provider and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then when it comes down to it, they kind of still do. And so they have that, But then also the whole, like, people expect them to still do a ton after they get off work.
Mm-hmm.
And they expect them to be emotionally there and physically there. And I don't know, there's just, for me, it's like people expect a lot out of guys. And it's like sometimes we're just kind of done.
Now, this conversation can definitely vary between guy to guy because things are a little bit more neutral these days, which is fine. And not all guys have the roles that we're referring to, which is also fine. But I don't know. One of the things I don't know if you know who Jordan Peterson is. I'm not even really honestly 100% sure what his actual career is, but he's a brilliant man, and he's been all over fucking podcasts, Joe Rogan shit. He's got his own podcast, but they recorded him once saying something like, "We don't need men." You're right, men. No, we don't want men, but men are necessary. Men are the building blocks to all the physical jobs, to all the buildings that we work out of, to all the big just all the big shit that this world has amazingly come up with. Most of that is by the work of men that are breaking themselves to make it happen. And still to this day, you start at the very fucking beginning of a giant-ass building project by putting a place for men to work out of.
Yeah.
By building a comfortable spot for men to work out of to build more. Fucking terrifying. I don't like it. But I don't want to lean too hard on the sexist battle because that's where it's headed. But you're right. And the expectations that happen outside of that are not just from partners or not just from other people, but even to take it a step further and say the economy. What the world expects also from these people.
Oh yeah.
Outside of work is it's all asinine, I mean, we go to work and we're in Arizona. It's been almost 120 for 2 weeks now, and we come from doing work outside, and then have to come home and deal with real world bullshit.
Welcome to being an adult.
I don't like it. Kind of mad at my dad for not telling me about that.
I feel like every parent tells you not to grow up, and we don't listen. We just don't.
This conversation's unfair already.
It's not fair. How do we hit the rewind button?
I don't know, but I'd love to find it. That kind of conversation of where we started off with, you kind of act on how you want to impress whoever it is that you're around, whether it's through saying shit that they want to hear or acting a certain way or whatever, kind of leads you into another darker path that can possibly veer your life in directions it doesn't need to be veered, as the type of people that you then, in fact, attract and keep around you.
Yeah.
And that is a whole nother situation that can quite literally decide life paths.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you don't catch it yourself early enough, it's definitely going to be one of those where you start losing yourself more.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, to make those friends or make those relationships or whatever you want to call it, you're going to lose yourself. You're not being yourself to make those. And so for everything to continue on and keep those people in your life, you can't go back to being yourself. Once you start being yourself, then you're going to be like, oh, well, who were you?
Yeah, this is not this isn't the fucking guy that we had before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that to myself numerous times in my life, which I'm sure you've noticed.
I mean, I think we all have.
Yeah, probably. And you talk about picking it up on your own or noticing it on your own, which is almost impossible at the point that you're talking about. Because once you're that far gone, you're just so engulfed in what you're actually doing, then being able to look at yourself from an outsider standpoint.
And sometimes you just need those outsiders to kind of smack you around a little bit or even if they just have that conversation with you and it's like, okay, I see what you're saying. Give me a few days. Let me run with what I'm doing. And then I'll probably back it off some.
That is what you just said is probably one of the like hardest parts of the process. And you, as the person being confronted with that issue, you have to be willing to open your eyes. And yes, it's going to take some time. You're going to have to take a couple of days and really fucking look at the circumstances and the thens and nows and be like, well, fuck.
Is this who I really am? Is this who I want to be?
I am in this goddamn position and I put myself here.
Yeah.
And now backing out of those positions fucking sucks because you're either going to do one of two things that you don't want to do is you're going to upset somebody or a group, or you're going to make them mad.
Or both.
Or both. And nobody wants to deal with confrontation. So now you're in this fucking position where you're like, well, now I have to cut ties and I have to burn bridges. And I don't want to deal with that because that's negative and that's confrontation. But you have to.
Yeah.
And it took me so fucking long to train myself to think, this is easy. All it's going to be is a negative text message.
Yeah.
That's all you're going to get. That's the worst thing that's probably going to happen is you're going to get negative text messages that aren't fucking true.
Yeah, I mean, some people are going to act out of, emotion. And so they're going to be pissed off and say some shit they don't mean.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them people may actually mean it, but hey, you're not going to see them again. You're closing that door.
I was going to say, if that's the worst thing that happens, then you're making away pretty fucking well.
Yeah.
And that took me so long because I still wouldn't want to text anybody that I'm close to and be like, hey, I'm probably not going to come around anymore.
Yeah, there's something I've been meaning to tell you.
Is that you're making jokes?
Or am I?
No, but yeah, and I've had to do it to a very close particular set of friend group that you're very well aware of. I've probably done it like 3 or 4 times, to be honest, where I've told them all like, hey, if things are going to continue to be this way, then I'm going to go.
I mean, there's a reason I don't associate with most of that friend group anymore.
There's a lot of negativity that finds its way through there.
That and like, I'm hard on myself as it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like every time I'm around that friend group, I'm just judged the entire time. And for me, like, if I'm going out to hang out with friends, I want to be able to relax and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to feel like I'm being judged. I don't want to be in that situation.
See, it's amazing because what you're reflecting on right now is exactly the reason of what I'm talking about. And maybe I've just done it enough to where they know better. They know that if they can continue to act that way, then I'm going to fucking bounce again. And it may be the last time. But what you're talking about is something of a trait that I've luckily opened my eyes to is when I make choices, if we're out on the weekend and choices get made, I don't have to fucking tell you what I'm talking about because we go to bars. We like to do the shit.
Yeah.
And when you're out and having a good time and having some drinks, sure, shit happens. Good, bad, whatever the fuck happens. Those people that we're talking about and other people don't need to follow it up with all the negativity. It doesn't need to stick around.
Yeah, I mean...
Nor do we need to talk about it half the time.
I know me and you have definitely had talks about some of the comments that were made before.
Yes.
And it's just like, they're uncalled for.
The judgment, and I'm not here for your fucking entertainment.
Yeah, no.
I come out.
I'm here for me, and like...
If you want to be a part of my good time, then that's cool, but I don't need your fucking judgments. Yeah. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's that kind of fucking behavior that I'm not going to stand for because mentally I don't deserve that. I'm already going to probably, just like you, I'm probably already going to make myself suffer for the next couple of days.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to I think about what the fuck I just did, and I give a fuck about what I did, regardless of what it is. And I don't need you to fucking shoving it down my throat. It's just not going to work that way. So those are the people that are not true friends. But I figured I'm going to make my point. I'm going to say my piece, and I'm going to let them decide.
Yeah.
And that's just how I do it now.
If they feel like the friendship is worth it, then I feel like they'll make the changes that you're telling them they need to make to be able to have you stay around.
Lines will get drawn, hopefully.
And drawn in stone, not fucking sand.
Yeah.
We're not moving this shit around.
That's good. I like that one. But those are the people that are willing to work with you and meet you in the middle on shit like that. When you express yourself and you express the things that you don't want to be a part of, those are the people that you want to keep in your life, you know?
Yeah.
And that is so difficult to find.
I mean, those are the people that show you that they truly care about you as a person and not just you as the person to get enjoyment out of.
Yeah. I'm not, yeah. You have to stand up for yourself sometimes, and it doesn't always end the way that people want it to, but I've had to learn the unfortunate way about how important it is to take care of myself every now and again.
Yes.
Still to this day. But yeah. I'm going to take a wild swing and say that's probably part of the biggest reason that you've been so distant for a while.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of it. I mean, the distance doesn't help.
I'm not talking about this one specific situation either. I'm talking about as a whole.
Yeah.
Just trying to stay away from the negative. No, the physical distance doesn't help.
Yeah. Yeah, the physical distance definitely doesn't help. But yeah, I mean, that negativity, I mean...
That fucking just makes it easier to stay away.
Yeah, it makes it easier. And then, I mean... I think we've talked about it before. And it's one of those where, like, I'm getting to that point where I'm tired of, people ask me for help. And I'll try and figure out how to drop everything that I'm doing and come over and help. But then, like, the couple of times where I need help, and it's something, like, physically cannot be done by one person, and so I'm trying to get somebody to come over and just, lend a hand. And it feels like you're just getting told to fuck off. And it's like, yeah, that's cool. I see how we truly stand right now, and don't call me when you need help again, because it's not going to happen.
There are definitely... And this is another point in which we kind of have to keep an open mind about. I have to anyway. I have to keep myself in check. When certain people, help out in whatever ways they help me out, and I work a lot. I don't have to tell you that, you do too, but it's not always easy for me to be there.
100%.
You know what I mean? And I get that sucks. And I try to apologize as much as I can, but I just can't physically always be where I need to be.
Yeah, and I mean, especially with having vehicles that don't get the greatest of fuel mileage and this current economy of our fuel prices.
And this has definitely been an issue because a lot of people don't take that as a reasonable reason, a reasonable excuse, so to speak, and there's nothing I can do about it. But when it is doable, I will. But also, too, there are people that I find worth it to stretch myself for. And I find myself balancing this conversation in my head when these things come up as there are people that I will not anymore.
Yeah.
Unreliable people. I'm just not gonna... I'm killing myself as it is. I don't need to kill myself over you needing help, but when you're not going to answer your phone for another 3 weeks.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's just...
The type of person where your phone only rings because they need something that you have.
Yeah. And it sucks to have to make that call, man. It sucks to have to say no or whatever the case may be. I don't want to do it. I want to be there to help, and I want to be able to do it. But, hey, when you're, I just don't, I physically don't have it to just kill myself for people that don't deserve it anymore.
Yeah. And see, that's kind of the same thought that I have because, I mean, I've had people ask me, especially when it comes to like working on some of my bigger projects and stuff that I have, People are like, it doesn't seem like besides your family, you have anybody that'll show up and help. And I'm like, I also have to take into consideration, I live like an hour from everybody.
Yeah.
And so it's not easy for everybody to be able to come out and help. And
It's an unfortunate part of it.
but like, there are certain people that I can call them when I need something.
Mm-hmm.
And even if they can't physically be there to help, they will have a means of trying to help. I mean, like with say for instance, right now the issue I'm having is finding that nut for putting the truck back together.
Mm-hmm.
I called you, and you're like, I mean, I might have one. Bring the stuff over. We'll see if we can find it.
Right.
And it's one of those where there's no reason for you to drag everything all the way out there when it's easier for me to drag the part over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, it's definitely a case by case, and it's like people don't look at it that way. They only look at it from their side.
Yeah, and I think it's the hardest to deal with when you want to call. I personally, I call people out. You know, I don't. If I have a solution, and it's not good enough for you, then I'm like, all right. I don't know what else we're supposed to say here.
Why'd you ask?
Yeah. If you're not open-minded about having a solution or my possible solution, then if this is what I can offer and you're going to tell me to fuck off, then probably don't ask me again.
I would agree.
So,
yeah.
And also, too, moving all that hardware would be very time-consuming.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, I honestly never even crossed my mind. Now I feel like a piece of shit. No. But it really sucks to have to do that, man. There's a lot of instances I can think of, and it happens every fucking week where just like something comes up and you notice that somebody's not willing to stride just a little extra farther to make something work. But it makes it even worse when another situation that comes up for them gets thrown in your face where they are willing to make it just a little bit farther because something more benefits them.
Yeah.
And that just, it hurts my soul because I'm like, come on, man. Like, I may not be a fucking female with nice boobs, but that's why you did that?
I mean, leave the female part out of it.
That's one of the things I notice a lot, and that sucks, you know?
Yeah.
But that's the ugg in us all, you know? We all want that sexual drive to be apparent. Yeah, I'll come save the day. Fuck it.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely that gets brought up also.
I actually kind of avoid that like the plague. I'll be honest with you.
I try to.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of rewarding behaviors for helping like that. I'm just not into it. It's not a big thing for me, you know. I think a big part of that, and this is kind of off topic, but in past relationships, rewards were given for labor intensive things. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I was like, this is only happening because I
did something for you.
Did something for you or gave you something you wanted, and I'm not a huge fan of that at all. That was the first time that happened. I was like, no, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. If you want to be with me, we'll do it because you want to be with me, not because I did something for you.
Right. That was a heartbreaking moment. I remember just sitting there like, what the fuck, man? Why are you in a relationship with this? It's terrible. But anyway, same goes. No. I'm not going to do something for you just because I think you look good. Now I'm like, why would I do it? Why else would I fucking do it? If you need my help genuinely, then I will try.
We'll try. We'll definitely try.
Oh,
if it's possible.
That was a nice little tangent. Sorry about that. Wow.
I mean, isn't this whole thing all tangents?
I mean, yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the point of this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think to kind of end that chapter in this episode, we'll talk about just how dangerous it is. You say that you can spend weeks on end, overthinking and just standing in your own thoughts.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
You know how detrimental that is?
Oh, yeah, because it stops you from being able to move forward.
Right.
I mean, you're stuck on the past for weeks.
Right. And now you're just standing here wondering, and for some reason, one small thought fucking snowballs into God knows fucking what.
Oh, yeah. The snowball effect is not good.
So when I say how detrimental it is, and being able to have, for me, being able to have somebody like you that I can just talk to, and we can do stuff like just air this shit out, to one another, or even come on here and talk about it. It helps you move past all the shit. And I think that's important to acknowledge.
I mean, hopefully it would help move on past the shit, but I mean, for some people I could see where it still wouldn't. Like, they're still going to dwell on it. They're still going to sit there and think about it.
Right.
Until they have that to where they realize that it's all right. And it doesn't need to sit there and be thought about.
Yeah, when you say it that way, man, I definitely feel that in my heart, because I can listen to somebody talk, and I can listen to affirmation in one direction or another, but I tell you what, man, if I don't feel good about something and I still don't feel like things are okay or something's not okay, then I won't move on.
Yeah.
I can't move on. So I'll give you that. And that goes all the way back down to, that's been called, insecure and overthinking and things like that. And I still to this day stand behind myself, because I'm like, I don't think it is. I don't fucking think it is. If I'm visually noticing something is wrong, and I feel like something is off, then why the fuck would I just ignore it?
Yeah.
How could I just move past it?
I could see that, but I could also see from the other side of, like, it might be something that you're stuck on, might be something that to everybody else is very small.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they're like, just move on. Like, quit overthinking about that. Quit being insecure about that. And I could see where that would come into play, but I can also see both sides. So
I definitely agree with what you're saying. It's been so long since I've allowed myself to get so stuck like that. So I really don't have probably the correct mindset to be having this conversation. Like I said, it's just been so long.
yeah.
I've forced myself out of these situations as much as I possibly can recently. I mentally just don't have it in me to do it right now. To like be overthinking, and I'm like, I have so much that I want to accomplish. There's no way in fuck I could allow myself to just get stuck right now.
Oh, yeah.
So I've been pushing my way through that shit. And I force myself to just let go of things, which is not probably the healthiest, but...
Or it's healthier because you're not dwelling on it. You're pushing it past, and you're like, all right, that happened. It's gone now. I'm
just so terrified. Like, this is the first time that I've ever been... This is going to sound bad, but it's not bad. The way I'm saying it sounds like shit, but this is the first time I've ever been like this alone in my life. And I don't mean that the way it sounds. It just means like this is the first time I've ever only been able to lean on me to take care of all the things that I need to take care of. I'm not taking care of anybody else. I mean, I have this fucking shithead, but I don't have... Because if somebody else is involved in my life, like actively involved in my life, even if it's just a roommate, now all of a sudden it's not just me I'm taking care of.
Oh, yeah, you're going to try a lot harder because, I mean, it's not just yourself that's being affected by your mistakes. It's everybody in the situation's being affected.
Uh-huh.
And so, I mean, I definitely feel that.
Yeah, and then it's just... For one, I'm proud of the things that I've accomplished, and I try to withhold that because I feel like I should be, I've worked my ass off for where I'm at, but on the same token, I'm fucking terrified of it.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, a blink of an eye and it can all be gone.
Yep.
And it's like, well, what was all that work for? Because it's all gone now.
This has taken me years to accomplish, and if I lose my job tomorrow, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's fucking all gone because I'm not going to get caught up enough in time to maintain having all the shit.
Oh, yeah, especially if you're still paycheck to paycheck. Yep. I mean, even if you've got, a couple $100 left over after every paycheck, you're still basically paycheck to paycheck. And
a couple $100 these days is not shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's real easy to blow in a weekend if you're not careful.
Yeah. So, to go back to the beginning, like I said, I just got to a point where I stopped allowing myself to get caught up. You have too much. You have too much on the line right now. No.
Yeah, because I mean, I can honestly say, at least here in Arizona, to maintain a household, just a household, not any cars or anything like that, just a house. I mean, you're looking $2,500 a month. So, I mean, if you lose your job and you can't recoup by the, literally same day of getting another job and getting right back onto a payroll, there's no way you're going to stay ahead unless you've got some type of substantial savings.
Right.
I mean, you can't take 2 days without pay.
And the way that people neglect that thought, to me, is terrifying. I'm not for it. I don't want to lose everything.
Yeah, I'm the type of person where I've never quit a job unless I knew I had something else I could go to.
Exactly, yeah.
And
that attitude is fucking crazy to me when you talk to guys and they're like, I'll fucking quit today. I'm like, really? Is that easy?
What about your bills?
Yeah.
Fuck them bills.
Don't you? Oh, yeah. It's fuck this, fuck that, fuck them. I'm like, okay, good luck. You must have things lined out pretty good.
No, that's those people that they don't care about anything.
So bizarre to me.
They'll let certain things go to keep other things. And so it's one of those where you let the car go so you can have gas money. I can't make that car payment. I got to put gas in the tank. Well, you ain't going to have that car tomorrow.
Right. That's fucking crazy, man. On the other token of that, I really fucking hate leaning that hard on quote-unquote materialistic objects. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and see, for me, it's a fine line because, like...
It's a very fine line.
Some people would say, they look at me and they would say that I'm very materialistic. I mean, I've got 2 trucks, a brand new car, a brand new side-by-side, and they'd be like, oh, he's extremely materialistic. And it's like, I'm not really materialistic. I have a certain lifestyle. And for my lifestyle, I mean, it's kind of a necessity. I mean,
man, when people bring that shit up or that conversation starts making its way through the crowd, I'm like, listen, I'm not going to be completely irresponsible, but I'm also not going to live.
Oh, yeah. I work hard, and I've told people this several times, because it gets brought up, especially, due to the fact that I live with my grandparents. Mm-hmm. It gets brought up all the time. People are like, oh, well, you only have that nice stuff because you live with people. And it's like, maybe, but I promise you, I still pay my fair share, and I still work my ass off. And, yeah, I might have some debt that I need to get myself out of, but I can tell you right now, if all I did was focus on trying to pay off my debt, I'd hate my life, and I can't promise my life is going to be around much longer.
I was going to say, I'm probably offing myself.
That's where a lot of suicide comes from.
Yeah.
Is people just get into that straight up depression because they're just trying to get caught up, and they're like, there's no end to this. And I work hard for my money, and every once in a while, I want to go and be able to enjoy my money.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Neither do I. But some people make it seem like it's the end of the world, and it's like, well, we're both sitting at the same bar right now, and you're trying to tell me that I'm
right. Who the fuck are you judging?
Please make this make sense to me right now. Like,
well, and it's like people have those conversations. Maybe we'll say maybe 30 years ago. You could even probably go less than that. Maybe 20 years ago, it was a little bit more sustainable to ask for a single person household with a single person income. But I don't know if you have done the math, on the numbers and shit these days, but what is it? Something like, oh, who the fuck? Somebody, I think it was like Alex or somebody looked up the statistics on this, and the bills and the monthly average for bills and shit like that is like 40% up from what it used to be.
Oh yeah,
And
I believe Arizona.
the income is only like 8% up.
I believe Arizona currently, you have to make, whether single or dual income, you have to make something like $750,000 a year to be able to live comfortably. And that's not to where you have a good savings. That's just to where you're not completely paycheck to paycheck. Like, you still got money to be able to go out and do some stuff, but you're not going to have money left over once that next paycheck hits.
So 75,000.
750,000
Well, that doesn't make sense.
a year.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
It's
I mean, that sounds nice. Maybe I'm just on the wrong scale. I have to look at my surroundings. So give me a minute.
well, look at average rent cost in Arizona.
I think I think in this house, I'm still fucking below the average.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So that's why for you the scale looks tipped differently.
Yeah. No, you're right, because if we were to talk about an actual modern, newer home,
Oh, not even that. Even if you were to move out of this house today, turn around next month and re-rent this house, I guarantee your rent would be closer to average.
it'd probably be $500 more.
You have that kind of have that grandfather clause. It's going to go up a little bit every year, but it's not going to go up near as much as what it would if it was to a new renter.
Okay, no, that's totally fair. I forget that, because even the house I was looking at recently, closer to work, was $2,250.
Yeah,
$500 higher. But all the costs are also going to go with it.
Yep.
So okay, fair enough. $750,000 a year, maybe, but fair enough.
I mean, that's what they say is like comfortable living. And I mean, not like bare bones necessity.
When I was a
Like,
kid, comfortable was 80.
Yeah.
I disagree. But yeah, things are a lot different than they used to be, and expectations have not changed, which is a problem.
Or maybe it was 250. I think it was 250.
That sounds better.
Yeah. 250.
That's still really, yeah.
It is still, I mean, it sounds asinine, but
I'd be really happy with that.
I mean, and you get used to living in that, $70,000 to $80,000 range, and you're like, if I could get to that 250, I'd be living a lot more than comfortable.
We know there's one thing about me that I've learned over the years, and at first, going into this adult thing, I thought it was a bad thing. I really wholeheartedly thought it was a bad thing, and I don't so much anymore. What I used to do is, every time I'd have a window of a more budget, I would step up my bills.
100%.
And depending on how you do that, it can be a bad thing.
Correct.
I'm not talking about shit that you don't need. I am talking about bigger and better lifestyle.
Yeah.
So I think if you one-up yourself at a healthy level and continuously push yourself to that next level and do this correctly, that's an amazing thing.
So I kind of when I was selling cars, I had a very similar conversation with one of my managers at the time, who was one of my mentors. And I went to him because this was very early in my sales career. And I was like, I don't get it. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, I put in the hours, I put in the effort. I was like, I've got the skill. Why don't I make the money the rest of these guys make? And he was like, well, do you know what your monthly nut is? And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, your nut. It's what your cost of living is. That's, your bills, everything else, not including like food or anything like that. Just straight up 100%. What is it going to cost for you to live this month?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, do you know what that nut is? And I was like, no, I don't. And he's like, go sit down and write it out and bring it to me. And so I did. And he looked at me and he's like, well, that's the problem. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, your guaranteed salary covers this.
Yeah.
He said, you put in the effort, but then there's also those days where you can tell you come in and you're like, I don't care.
Don't have to care.
I'm going to clock in. I'm going to do what I need to do to keep people off my back, and then I'm going to go home.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, increase your nut. I promise you're going to make more money.
So put pressure on yourself.
Yeah, 100%. You got to put that pressure on yourself. And that's basically what you were just saying. You know, when that window of opportunity opens, you expand yourself a little bit, but you don't want to push it too far, because then that's how you end up in a negative situation.
Right. And it is a dangerous gamble. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it doesn't suck. And this conversation is exactly why I think most people don't do this. They just settle, because settling is comfortable.
Oh yeah. I remember, because I've looked at it recently. Because I was scrolling through my phone and some old pictures and stuff, and I realized, I was like, when I got out of the military, I thought I had a lot of bills.
Mm-hmm.
And the total for the entire month when I got out of the military, what I had to pay in bills was only like $750. And I thought that was expensive. And now I look back at it and I'm like, wow, I pay that itself in like almost my car payment is that much.
Yep.
I mean, my car payment's not near that much, but I mean, it takes up about half of that.
Right.
And it's like, well, all I've done is just continue to increase that nut and continue to push myself.
Push yourself a little bit harder for the shit that you want.
Yeah. And then you look at it and you're like, oh, I still have X amount left over for the month. If I do budget things properly, I can have that and arrange it. I mean, if I wanted to, I could get a place on my own. I mean, if I really worked my numbers right and everything, I could. But right now, for me, I feel like it's more beneficial where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
There's people where I'm at that need me for certain health reasons and stuff like that. So I don't care if people want to judge me for trying to help my family, then I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
No,
I mean, this is, I look at it like, to be honest with you, if I had the opportunity in this day and age to go cut my bills in half and go move in with somebody, believe fucking me, it would be a huge consideration on my part.
Oh yeah.
Because why not?
There's so much that you can do that way. I mean, there's so many opportunities that you open yourself up to by being able to do something like that.
And then I look at this situation, and just like you were just saying, okay, I've plateaued. Yes, I can pay my bills. Kind of sucks, but I can pay everything. What's the next big fucking step? Where do I go from here? Do I settle or do I push hard?
Yep.
And here we sit.
So what it sounds like is we need to go buy something. Give you something to push for.
Oh, I'm pushing right now. We're sitting in it.
You need to push harder.
I don't want to.
Too bad.
Actually, I'll tell you about that off air. Well, something just came up, and we're going to be able to start doing some pretty cool stuff here. So, but anyway, I have to bounce, so we're going to close this thing out. It was a good conversation today. Thank you for opening up a little bit more.
Not going to happen.
Which part?
All of it.
You already did.
I did not.
Well, it's recorded.
I don't believe you.
Swear to God, if I come back and this thing's deleted, then that will never be aired. So
nobody will ever know.
No.
The world may never know.
No. You know, we mention it every fucking time we close out an episode with Justin, but for all your custom, potentially mobile welding needs, Doodle, can you stop smacking the mic? Get down. Get down. Contact me. Justin can help. We're in the state of Arizona, Phoenix Valley Metro, anywhere. It's mobile. So.
Oh yeah, and we got a tubing bender now, so we can play more games.
And we have more fuckery.
Oh yeah.
So. Click all the things. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, please. I depend on you to depend on me. So, we love you.
We out.